Om Namo Narayanaya. Welcome back. So it dawned on me that some of you may wonder why I always open my videos with that and not the more traditional Namaste. So, Narayana, you may or may not know, is the name of God. You may have also figured that out. According to my guru, Sri Acharyaji, that is the ultimate form of God, the ultimate name of God. And I have actually seen the name Narayana many times. I read it on this channel. So I think he's completely correct in that. And he's also an amazing scholar and can read Sanskrit. I think that is the name of God. And for some reason, it just hasn't become popular. Or it isn't so well known. We know Vishnu, Krishna, but for some reason it just, I don't know why. My guru, Sri Acharyaji, he actually encourages us to read the scriptures, and to ask questions, and to find out for ourselves. So, he has given this mantra in his videos and in his books and out to the world, so I use it in honor of him, but in also honor of the fact that, because, well, if it's the biggest mantra ever, why not use it? Further, I wanted to share it with all of you. The other thing is, I believe Namaste has been, what's the right word? I don't know. I can't think of it right now. Has been taken over by people who have no respect for the religion, aren't necessarily spiritual, and use it to virtue signal with. I have literally seen people who just are not spiritual, or they're just arrogantly spiritual, and they really don't know anything about Hinduism, and they use that, oh, Namaste, like you're supposed to now treat them special because they use this old word. No. Absolutely not. And I believe that we need to decolonize Hinduism. Technically, we should be calling it Sanatana Dharma, because that is the name used in the scriptures. And I have seen that, much like Narayana. I have seen Sanatana Dharma over and over again. Hinduism and Hindu are modern words, but they're the words everybody knows. So if I want you to find this channel, it's probably better for me to say the word Hindu than it is Sanatana Dharma. But we need to take back the words and use them properly and use them honorably. And so for me, saying Om Namo Narayanaya not just honors my guru and honors God, but is also just trying to remove myself from some of these people who just want to hurt the religion, and they don't know what they're doing, and they don't know what they're talking about, and it's just a virtue signal thing. So that's my logic on that. As for closing with the Hare Krishna mantra, well, I believe in Krishna, so I'm giving him his honor. So I just thought I'd share that. I just randomly came to me this morning. I've never actually mentioned why I say that on this channel. So here we go. Today we're reading Canto 4, Chapter 1. We're starting with verse 33. And I read all but the last sentence of verse 33, so we're going to pick up with that. Now you may hear from me of the many sons of Angira. Angira's wife, Sarada, gave birth to 4 daughters, named Sinivali, Kuha, Raka, and Anumati. Besides these 4 daughters, she also had another 2 sons. One of them was known as Uttatya, and the other was learned scholar Rahaspati. Palastya begot in his wife Havirbu 1 son of the name Agastya, who in his next birth became Dharagni. Besides him, Palastya begot another very great and saintly son, whose name was Vishrava. Vishrava had 2 wives. The first wife was Idavida, from whom Kuvera, the master of all Yakshas, was born, and the next wife was named Kashini, from whom 3 sons were born, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and Vibhishana. Gati, the wife of the sage Pulasha, gave birth to 3 sons, named Karmeshtra, Virayan, and Sahishnu, and all of them were very great sages. Kratu's wife, Kriya, gave birth to 60,000 great sages, named the Valakyas. All these sages were greatly advanced in spiritual knowledge, and their bodies were illuminated by such knowledge. The great sage Vahishya begot in his wife Urja, sometimes called Arundhati, 7 spotlessly great sages, headed by the sage named Chitraketu. The names of these 7 sages are as follows: Citraketu, Sarotsi, Viraja, Mitra, Obana, Vasubardhanya, and Dumyan. Some other very competent sons were born from Vahishya's other wife. Siti, wife of the sage Atharva, gave birth to a son named Asvashira by accepting a great vow called Dadhyancha. Now you may hear from me about the descendants of the sage Bhargu. The sage Bhargu was highly fortunate. In his wife, known as Kayati, he begot 2 sons, named Dati and Vidhata, and 1 daughter named Shri, who was very much devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The sage Manu had 2 daughters named Ayati and Niyati, whom he gave in charity to Datta and Vidhata. Ayati and Niyati gave birth to 2 sons, Mirkanda and Prana. From Mirkanda, Markandeya Muni was born, and from Prana, the sage Vedavyasa, whose son was Utsana, also known as Kavi. Thus Kavi also belonged to the descendants of the Bhargu dynasty. The population of the universe was thus increased by the descendants of these sages, and the daughters of Kardama. Anyone who hears the descriptions of this dynasty with faith will be relieved from all sinful reactions. Another of Manu's daughters, known as Prasuti, married the son of Brahma, named Daksha. Daksha begot 16 very beautiful daughters with lotus-like eyes in his wife Prasuti. Of these 16 daughters, 13 were given in marriage to Dharma, and 1 daughter was given to Agni. One of the remaining 2 daughters was given in charity to the Pirtaloka, where she resides very amicably, and the other was given to Lord Shiva, who is the deliverer of sinful persons from material entanglement. The names of the 13 daughters of Daksha who were given to Dharma are Shraddha, Maitri, Daya, Janti, Tutsti, Putsti, Kriya, Onati, Buddhi, Medha, Titicha, Hri, and Murti. These 13 daughters produced the following sons. Shraddha gave birth to Surya, Maitri produced Prasada, Daya gave birth to Abhya, Janti gave birth to Sukha, Tutsi gave birth to Muda, Putsi gave birth to Samya, Kriya gave birth to Yoga, Unati gave birth to Dharpa, Buddhi gave birth to Artha, Meda gave birth to Smriti, Tithaxa gave birth to Kesama, and Hri gave birth to Prasaya. Murti, a reservoir of all respectable qualities, gave birth to Sri Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. On the occasion of the appearance of Narayana, the entire world was full of joy. Everyone's mind became tranquil, and thus in all directions the air, the rivers, and mountains became pleasant. In the heavenly planets, bands began to play, and they showered flowers from the sky. The pacified sages chanted Vedic prayers, the denizens of heaven known as the Gandharvas and Kinnaras sang, and the beautiful damsels of the heavenly planets danced. And in this way, at the time of the appearance of Narayana, all signs of good fortune were visible. Just at that time, great demigods like Brahma also offered their respectful prayers. These demigods said, "Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the transcendental personality of Godhead, who created as his external energy this cosmic manifestation, which is situated in him as the air and clouds are situated in space, who has now appeared in the form of Narayana, Rishi in the house of Dharma. Let that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is understood by truly authorized Vedic literature, and who has created peace and prosperity to destroy all calamities of the created world, be kind enough to bestow his glance upon the demigods. His merciful glance can supersede the beauty of the spotless lotus flower, of which is the home of the goddess of fortune. These demigods worshipped with prayers the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing as the sage Narayana. The Lord glanced upon them with mercy and then departed for Gandhamadana hill. That Narayana Rishi, who is a partial expansion of Krishna, has now appeared in the dynasties of Yadu and Kuru in the forms of Krishna and Arjuna respectively to mitigate the burden of the world. The predominating deity of the fire begot in his wife Savaha 3 children named Pavaka, Pavamana, and Tsuchi, who exist by eating the oblations offered to the fire of sacrifice. From those 3 sons, another 45 descendants were generated, who are also fire gods. The total number of fire gods is therefore 49, including the fathers and the grandfather. These 49 fire gods are the beneficiaries of the oblations offered in the Vedic sacrificial fire by impersonalist brahmanas. The Agnisvatas, the Barhisadas, the Samyas, and the Agshapas are the Pitas. They are either Satniki or Niragnikya. The wife of these Pitas is Vada, who is the daughter of King Daksa. Svada, who was offered to the Pitas, begot 2 daughters named Vayuna and Dharini, both of whom were impersonalists and were expert in transcendental and Vedic knowledge. The 16th daughter, whose name was Sati, was the wife of Lord Shiva. She could not produce a child, although she always faithfully engaged in the service of her husband. The reason is that Sati's father, Daksha, used to rebuke Lord Shiva in spite of Shiva's faultlessness. Consequently, before attaining a mature age, Sati gave up her body by dint of yogic mystic power. Thus ends chapter 1. Basically, it's setting the stage for the story that's to tell. You know it is, because that's kind of how this book works. And there it is, a mention of Narayana. I did not know that was coming. There was one phrase here that kind of boggled my mind, and I'm sure you heard it very early on, verse 39. Kratu's wife Kriya gave birth to 60,000 great sages. 60,000. Let's say she has 1 child a year. That's 60,000 years. That's impossible. Not just, well, I mean, there's no way to even imagine that. So, that perplexed me a little bit, seeing that. And I always say on this channel, if you don't understand something, try to figure out what you can do with it. And if you just can't, if you're done, just offer it to God. Lord Narayana, just take this, just do what you want with it. Maybe you can help me figure it out, maybe not, maybe it's just information not meant for me, and I just say let it go. Just offer it as a puja. It's sort of like if you're waving incense and it doesn't really smell that great, don't destroy it, just keep waving it, don't interrupt it. Just next time buy some better incense. And, we'll keep reading and there'll be more interesting things. But that sentence that's a tough one to bite, particularly if you believe this is the truthful word of the Lord. So I'm going to open this up to all of you and say, how? Because I really don't know. How should we interpret this? Did she actually have 60,000 kids and live to be 60,000 years old? Okay. This is pre-Kali Yuga, I guess, so I guess maybe that's possible. Or is this interpretive? She didn't actually have 60,000 kids. She had something else. Did she have just a handful of kids? Because, big families, that's not a big deal. 10 kids. My grandfather was one of 10. That's not a big deal. And did they have incarnations then, or were these gods or demigods that then, had avataric forms or something? Or is this talking about her descendants? So she had 10 kids, and then they had, and then they had, and they had, which after a while is a lot of people. I don't know really how to handle these type of sentences that defy belief. They just defy belief. They defy logic. Sometimes I wonder, is that a misinterpretation? A mistranslation, which leads to a misinterpretation. I don't know. I don't know. Or should we just say, hey, this is the Word of God, and you may not get it, but that's what it is. So, I'm asking all of you who are watching this to put down below what you feel about this. How do you interpret it? How do you handle this? Do you just not even worry about it? It's probably the best approach. Or is there a logical answer to this and other verses that just defy explanation? Your answer would be really great, very much welcomed. And any approach or links or anything down below. And so I'm just going to end it there. I look forward to any comments. Of course, as always I do. And with that, we'll say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.